Welcome to Reflections, a program where we discuss values and virtues for the transformation of the individual and the society in general. I am Father George Ehusani, and I have with me in the studio a new friend of mine, Dr. Chuma Igbokwe.
Thank you.
Dr. Igbokwe, you're welcome. Dr. Igbokwe is a psychiatrist, he's a pilot. He learned to fly both helicopters and fixed-wing planes, and then he is a psychiatrist, trained as a psychiatrist. And he will tell us how he did it all. He did his medical school in Nigeria, right?
That's right.
And then he went to the UK and then got all kinds of qualifications, including subspecialties within psychiatry. Substance misuse. He's an expert in substance misuse and also intellectual difficulties.
That's right.
Mental retardation and so on and so forth. So we have Nigeria has highly skilled people, highly trained people. I don't know why we are messing up with all this we have. So you came back to this country in 2016, and I believe you have come with all the skills required to fix Nigeria and to fix our mental and psychological issues. Tell us, what is your observation about the mental health in general of Nigerians?
Thank you very much for having me on this program. And I really feel honored to be part of this program, and I feel humbled by what you have done from your programs to date, and I'm looking forward to be part of this program and subsequent programs.
Thank you.
Back to your question.
Yes.
What struck me when I first came back to Nigeria was Nigerians are all mad.
Nigerians are all mad.
Yeah.
When you see when they spoke, when Jesus spoke like this, the Pharisees and scribes say, as you speak like this, you also mean you are counting us among the people you are talking about too.
Absolutely, sir.
You mean we are all?
That's right. Because it was just incredible coming into. It's as if I was in a madhouse.
Madhouse.
That's right. It's just everything was wrong. From even the next person talking to you shouts at you. People cannot talk normally into their phones.
They
can't have a normal conversation at the top of their voices. You're driving down the motorway. Motorbikes, cars are coming in the opposite direction. Top speed.
At top speed and facing you.
Facing you. And expect you to give way. It's just everything seemed to be wrong. Everything. And people just tell you blatant lies to your face. And they'll pray before they start saying the lies, and then they'll tell the lies, which is obvious,
and they go and pray after.
So, it's just, it was a land of absurdities. And then you also look at the streets. We have our roving psychotics roaming the streets naked.
Psychotics, yes, in the 21st century.
That's right.
People
and
who should be in institutions.
In asylums, being treated, and these are treatable issues. And then we have the vast majority who are wearing a mask of sanity when indeed they're insane. And that's what I think.
That's a damning judgment of the Nigerian situation, that we have a vast majority of people wearing a mask of sanity, whereas they are insane.
Correct, sir.
And this insane that you say majority of Nigerians, are you talking of the people in the slums, the poor people in the slums, or does it include people who are well dressed and who are in their air-conditioned cars? That insanity, does it include?
To be honest with you, the insanity cuts across the whole population, both the rich, the poor, the middle class. The insanity, it's there. It's not the insanity as the average Nigerian sees insanity. They see them as those people who are naked
on the
streets. No. Insanity goes way beyond that. There are a whole lot of affluent, rich people who cannot get a good night's sleep because they are being tormented by all sorts. They cannot have a period of rest. They've been into so many things. Some are extremely stressed. Some are seriously anxious. Some are depressed. And depression is not just the severe depression where people get suicidal. There are all sorts of levels of depression. And it's a common thing. People are not able to go to sleep. When they go to sleep, they only get 2 hours, 3 hours sleep. They're awake, thinking through the night. They're tossing and turning, food does not appeal to them, and in some cases, others eat too much of food, which is also a psychiatric issue. Some lose their appetite. You know, it's just, you can go on. Anxiety is pervasive across everywhere. Anger and the propensity... Rage, that's right. And propensity to discharge anger, the threshold is so low. People just, at the slightest opportunity, they are fighting, they are screaming at neighbors. People are making up stories and things about others, and they don't say anything wrong with it. You know, there's a lot of grandiosity. Do you know who I am? How dare you? Who are you? I am this, I am that. That's a lot of grandiosity. It's mental health, actually. They're all symptoms of mental health. There's so much paranoia around here about ethnicity. The first question people ask in Nigeria is, where are you from? So it was such a very difficult question for me. Even now, I find it difficult to answer. Because when you ask me, where are you from? First thing I say, I'm Nigerian. Oh, but where are you from? I was born in Lagos. I grew up in Lagos. I speak Yoruba fluently. That's my first language. My parents are Igbos from the southeast. But the reality is, primary school, secondary school, everything. And I live in the north. So I'm Nigerian. But Nigerians they want to break you into small boxes so that you can fit into their own way of seeing life. So,
Dr. Igbokwe, as you speak like this, the next question that comes to my mind is, after 3 months in Nigeria, how did you feel? I mean, with what you have narrated, then I'm asking how much is possibly affecting your own mental health. Meaning, what you have narrated is serious. And this is your homeland. We're not talking of some country that down under.
That's right.
We're talking of your country.
That's right.
And the kind of things you have narrated, and I know, I who have lived there all the while, I know that what you are saying is true. I know you have not exaggerated. Look, in about 15 years ago, some governor of Lagos decided to get all the people who are driving one way, the one you described, driving against the traffic. He decided to get them arrested at random. So at random, let's say 100 people were arrested. They said 60% of them deserve to be remanded in an asylum when they were given psychological tests. Meaning, well-dressed people, executives, whatever, who are driving against the traffic, they were arrested. And when they were put through serious psychological tests, it was discovered that they are supposed to be
on treatment.
They're supposed to be on treatment. So your point about a large population, a proportion of the Nigerian population being insane may not be too far from it. It's depressing to hear, but perhaps it's not too far from the truth. And you presented it in a rather graphic manner, the way people shout at each other, even when they are sitting down like this. The way people, the threshold, the anger threshold
to discharge anger,
is very low. And that is what you see in the motor parks, road rage. And people fight dirty.
They fight dirty.
And then very little things can blow up and become very violent.
Absolutely.
Somebody is speaking Igbo and he's quarreling with somebody whose language is Hausa, and that can cause a whole town to go on fire.
That's right.
Because people are not waiting to even hear what the issues are.
Right. Let me tell you another one I observed. I think even as recent as a few days back, I was driving behind an Audi SUV, very nice, lovely car, and I was right behind him. And you know, for about 500 meters, we're in a traffic jam. All I was seeing was through the window, paper, banana peels, sachet water was just falling out of the car.
Okay, he was eating and throwing
out on the streets.
Oh, you never heard the story. I mean, I have seen, not heard. I have seen one where somebody was eating bananas, and then he took the peel and threw it off the window, and it landed on slapped a driver in the next car.
Wow.
I mean, that is how bad can it get? Because it's the discipline of, okay, you are eating granules, you have some dustbin in your car, some place you put it until you get to where
you're going. Yeah.
It's just not there.
Can I just also tell you another funny one? Prior to 2015, 16, when I came back, I was making several trips to Africa and Nigeria in particular. And I noticed something quite unique. You may want to look at it. When you're flying in from, say, the United States or Europe or America on an aircraft, everyone's so well behaved.
Nigerians, they are well behaved until you get
the moment
to the
aircraft lands
in Murtala Mohammed Airport.
You suddenly see them springing up from their seats, no, they're not listening to anybody again. Yes. Start pulling down things, and they just become rowdy.
Yes. And the hostess starts saying, "Sit down, sit down."
No, they're not ready to listen. So it's as if something triggers that behavior, because it doesn't make sense. The same group of people.
They behave well in Amsterdam. They behave well in Heathrow.
That's flights, and then just as soon as it touches down, it just completely changes.
Then you at the airport, you now see people coming to pick them, collect the passport, and you coming right up to the gate.
Yeah, they go against everything that the law says. Yes. Yeah, that's lawful. So we are just a peculiar group of people, and I will repeat it once again. We wear the mask of sanity.
But we are not
We
sane.
are mostly insane.
Mostly insane.
And these are issues that we really, really, really need to try and get to the root of it in order to be able to see how.
What worries me is that what you have said now, to whatever extent it is true, 30%, 40%, 50%, if we have these insane people in power, aren't we in trouble? Because from among this large population of people who camouflage to be sane but who are indeed insane, if from among them we now have people in positions of power, then are we surprised as to what we are getting?
Because we should be surprised, because when you look at the years over the decades, that's what we've had in politics. If we actually had people who had a sound mind, mental attitude towards power and towards leadership, we would not be in the mess we're in today. It goes back to the years of Western region warfare. I mean, these were not sane minds that went about killing each other.
Yes.
We go through the issue of the Civil War. There was no sanity there.
No change.
And it's been the same. On those days, the Omobori War and Co. and all the fights that killed so many. If you look at it over the years, and you look at the politicians we have today, they're no better. They're really no better. And the leaders we have came out from amongst those of us. They didn't come from heaven or from hell.
To what extent is this mental distortion, I will call it, to what extent can you blame it on generations and generations, perhaps centuries of feudal rule, slave trade, colonialism, where, for example, people existed by exploitation. I mean, exploitation was common denominator, where actually chiefs pursued their own children and caught them and sold to the white man. I mean, each time I think about chiefs in this country, all over West Africa, who the white man didn't come out of his boat, but that our own leaders pursued their children, and especially the smartest of them, the one that could say no to the king, and caught them and sold them in millions over a 400-year period. Each time I have a chill when I think about it. Now, that concept of leadership seems to still be surviving in some form, where leadership is about exploitation. Leadership is not about service. It's about exploitation. And when you think about what did they gain from selling their own children? A mirror, a red piece of cloth, some cannon or whatever. I mean, I saw a cannon somewhere, and they said this one fetched 100 slaves, 100 human beings, one cannon. And I'm saying, the white man must have noticed this mental problem and decided to exploit it.
Yeah, I agree. intellectually, the whites were at that point a lot more advanced than we were. As intellectual in terms of, reading ability, being able to exploit those sort of opportunities, there's no doubt that was the case. But we are in a situation now, even if those wrongs took place 400 years ago,
why are
we have had generations that have been re-educated. I mean, I'm a product of, in fact, almost every Nigerian is a product of Western education. Because look at you, we are here speaking English, not speaking a native language. Our literatures, everything's Western. The news we watch, when we talk to each other, it's all Western. The same group of people who lived in America for 30 years, all civil, working work, comes back to Nigeria and totally change. And, we just have, we seem to be in a jungle. We view ourselves as being in a jungle.
Where is leadership here? Because, you see, when you think about, when you go to Ghana now, Ghana is not perfect, but Ghana is doing a little better than Nigeria. And yet, Ghana has suffered pretty much what we have suffered. Same military rule, slave trade, blah, blah, blah. So, perhaps it's going further and further to emphasize the place of leadership. How leadership defines a place. I mean, I did a bit of a study of Singapore and spent some time in Singapore, and I came to see that in 1962, 63, 64, Singapore was not better than Nigeria. Singapore was as indisciplined, was as dirty, was as disorganized, until some Lee Kuan Yew and his friends came and said, no. In fact, they were chased out of Malaysia because they were of no use to Malaysia.
Yeah.
Until some people came up and decided to turn that country to the envy of the whole world.
Yeah.
How come we have never really been blessed with such quality of leaders?
You mentioned the Singaporeans, but it took a bit of a dictatorial kind of leadership.
But we had our own kind of dictators, and
we did. And sometimes we look back and say, just like I'll give you an example of Gaddafi. I mean, he's been vilified in the West and core, but the fact is,
he held that country.
He held the country well, and they developed the country. And today, let's see what Libya, under the current government, is a mess. So it's about benevolent leadership, because with our current system of government, it goes beyond just the president. You need to get a significant proportion of the National Assembly. You need to have critical mass moving at the same time. And that's where Lagos State came close to achieving that. That's my own opinion. And that's why Lagos State stands out when you compare to other states. Lagos was a mess and still partially a mess, but it's the most organized outside of the FCT. It's the most organized state. It's actually the one that's been building year on year out, been building on successes compared to the other states. Then Ogun State is fairly close by, and then recently Rivers State is sort of trying to pick up. But that's the reality of what we have in our country. So that critical mass is important. And it's the same critical mass, even when you get it 4 years' time, they're all gone.
How do we, saying all this, back to talking about mental health and what your own opinion is about the generality of Nigerians who are wearing a camouflage of sanity that are not sane. How do we get about helping our leaders to recognize that there is a problem here? Because you see, it's like the maggot in the latrine. Who doesn't know that that's a messy place, because that's its natural environment.
That's right, yeah.
Many Nigerians can't see what you are seeing. Yeah. You have lived out elsewhere. You have seen where things work. You have traveled to places. So you are exposed to what things are supposed to be. Yeah. But many Nigerians think that this is life.
Yeah, that's true, because you see, what we consider as life itself is mathematics. I'm sorry, I'll have to say this now. Okay, in mathematics, there's norm. What we call normal is a curve. It's a bell curve. It's normal. Okay, and normal means the vast majority, 95% of the population, behave in a particular way, and that's what we call
that's
normal.
what is called normal.
So it's the mean is in the middle of that bell curve, okay? And it's got some standard deviations which are deviants, but whether negatively or positively. The geniuses and the
So when you arrived, you were deviant on the other side, yes.
No. So we have the norm, but I think the world has a norm, a middle point of behaviors clustering around. But in Nigeria, over the decades, we have moved the normal curve towards the left. So what is abnormal elsewhere has become normal in our society. So we do everything, our behavior pattern. No, people don't see, they see me as the odd person. They call me Oyinbo, white man, go back to England. That's what they say to me when I complain about issues. Say, no, yeah, he's a white man.
Yeah, I mean, you see what happens when you are in traffic and you are trying to obey traffic lights, you stop, and you see they are hooting, meaning, yeah.
So I have actually it's been said to me to my face, go back to England, you're a white man. Do you understand me? So what is normal here?
For insisting that this is wrong, let's do things in the right way.
For trying to do something in the right way. They say, my friend, go back. So in a nutshell, we have moved the normal curve away from what society, the real world, actually, the mean value.
Yes. And
we have redefined what is normal. And that's what our children and the newborns are being born into that society.
Yeah, I mean, Terra has programs with secondary schools, and our team has visited secondary schools. Actually, we spent a week with the schools in recent times. In the month of February, they spent 4 weeks in 4 different schools. And what they are discovering is what you are saying, that it is very frightening what is coming out of our schools, because these children have been socialized to consider the most abnormal things normal. What is before we close this, how do we go about turning things around? What's your prescription for how do we go around turning things around in this country? I mean, we've got to begin somewhere.
We got to begin. I agree with you. The issues around our country is complex. And complex issues require a holistic and complex approach. There are areas around, the sociological setup of our country, the psychological areas, education. There are so many areas that needs to be teased out as individual areas to be approached differently, each one of them. We are multifaceted in terms of ethnicity, and each of our ethnic backgrounds defines how we behave in society. And we do have ethnic groups that are so much divergent in nature that we need to start bringing them together. Let me give you a good example of our national anthem. Sometimes I sit down in my room and I hum the old national anthem because it made more sense to me.
Yeah, we hail thee.
Though tribe and tongues may differ, in brotherhood we stand. That thing is missing. People don't recognize that. We now believe that because we have different tribes and tongues, we are different nations.
We are different people. Some people think that we are so different, forgetting that we belong to what they call the Bantu, whatever. All of us. That's right. All of us belong to one stock.
That's right. We came from there.
We are not. We didn't. One person not from Mars, another from Jupiter.
Right. And then our education system has crumbled so much that we have graduates who may not be better than primary 6 standard 6 holders in the 60s. Yes. So even graduates cannot read and understand issues. They cannot really understand issues.
So how are you going to engage them?
That's right. So we need a whole lot of root and branch approach to these things. Education, we need to look at it over and over again. And part of the problem we have with our education system is the fact that the worst of our students go on to study education. You look at JAMB, 80 over 400 gets you to go and study education in the university to teach my own children to become doctors. It's not possible.
That's sad.
But it's the lowest score that go. And when you see these things, when you see them marking their scripts, education students in universities, it's Fs. in GS courses, FFF. And these ones graduate and become the teachers to teach the children of professors and doctors and engineers to make them. So the foundation is weak. The
foundation
is very weak.
It's been destroyed.
Yeah, right from WIAC, from JAM, those sort of things. We need our best brains going to teach. Because education is not just about academia, it's also the moral values and core. And we know from research that those who are actually good academically also tend to have very good moral.
Now, Finland is being celebrated as having about the best educational system in the world. Finland. But then Finland also pays its teachers about the best. Welfare for teachers, about the best. In fact, people compete in Finland to be teachers.
That's right.
You compete to be teacher. With your first class degree.
So it's Germany. Germany is the same too.
Yes, I lived for 1 year in Germany. You can be a nursery school teacher and you live well. Good. Now, see what we are doing with our teachers. As we speak, universities teachers are on strike. What all this can be part of the symptoms of the mental distortion that you started talking about. As a psychiatrist, I am giving you Nigeria to treat. So what? I'm giving Nigeria to treat. So what, in summary, approach are you going to take so that your colleagues, other psychiatrists, psychotherapists, can begin to use, and then the rest of us can help you if we know what prescriptions you are bringing out for treating the sick Nigeria and sick Nigerians?
Father, I wish I could give you an answer. Only God can help us right now. But like the approach to treatment, the first thing is to take an unbiased, detailed history, which is let's really understand how we got to where we are. It's only when we understand that we can start coming up with interventions that can actually make a difference.
Unbiased, objectively analyze how we got to where we are.
That's right. And that is one of the biggest problems we have. Nigerians, we can never sit down to look at things objectively and core. We color it with ethnicity, everything's religion and core. So any report of such nature will be criticized and rejected. It doesn't matter where it comes from. So it's important that if we can do it as Nigerians, then let's employ foreigners to do it for us. Let's pay them. Let them carry out this work. And once they've...
And I hope our leaders are listening. I mean, it is Albert Einstein who says that you cannot solve a problem with the same consciousness that created the problem.
Absolutely.
You need a different kind of consciousness to solve a problem that you have.
Absolutely.
So I hope our leaders are listening to the fact that we cannot get the country of our dream if we continue to operate
the same way,
with the same along the same parameters as gotten up to this mess.
Absolutely.
So you are saying your first recommendation is to analyze how we got to this bind where we are now.
That's right. And once we've done that and we have a good understanding, my feeling based on what I've seen of Nigeria is it doesn't matter how good the Nigerians who carry out this work do it, it will be rejected. So we may be better off paying
because it will be seen that, okay, this is your interest, the coloration to it.
Let us pay. Let us see it as an investment. Professionally, for a country to come in and do that for us. Then we made a conscious commitment towards adopting those and following them. These are countries that have been through this pathway 600 years ago, 800 years ago. And such a report will help us build institutions.
Build institutions like the police. I mean, you have a situation where the police that is supposed to help to check some of these things you are talking about, they themselves are in a mess like the rest of the
society. So the judiciary in a mess, every aspect, and this is where leaderships are coming from. The common man, you go to Marabat now, neighbors are at war with each other. Just every level. At every level, it's there. The schools are overrun with cults. Just name it. So we just need to first really understand.
Yeah, I mean, we
just
definitely
touching
will,
the edges of this.
Chuma, will need to have more sessions to discuss about this, because unfortunately for people like me, I'm stuck here. This is my home. This is where all my interest is, and for whatever number of years God gives me, this is where I will stay. So it is in my interest that we do something about this. I mean, I don't want to live with mad people. I want to live with sane people. So we shall have to be discussing, and we need people like you, who have experience from outside to. Let's not conclude that these things will be rejected. Let's believe that somehow God will prepare the minds of some people to receive some of the kind of analysis you are making, and objectively embrace them for moving forward. You know.
Yeah, I mean, you're a man of faith,
of hope,
of faith, and I really applaud you for that. But history
is
tells us a
instructive.
different thing. Yeah, about Nigeria. There's hardly been any report I can think of.
Yeah, that has not been contested.
That's right.
No matter how well done. Well, on this note, we'll bring this to an end. I have been speaking with Dr. Chuma Igbokwe, psychiatrist and expert in substance misuse and cognitive intellectual difficulties or mental retardation. I want to welcome you to Terra, and we shall have many more occasions to discuss. God bless you.
Thank you very much. Amen. Thank you.